Having arrow flight problems? No, this isn't a metaphor for a Cialis commercial. We're going to make sure your archery problem isn't you. Let's get your bow tuned, possibly without turning a single Allen head. Man, it all just sounds wrong now, doesn't it? What's up guys, it's Eric from Late to the Game Outdoors, and today we're going to talk about making sure your bow is totally tuned for your upcoming season. I have other videos I've done on tuning and getting your broadheads and field points hitting in exactly the same spot, but I want to take the time to zoom in on what should be the first thing you check. Like, put down the multi-tool and don't adjust anything until you've made sure this isn't the culprit. And if you're totally new to archery or bow tuning, here's what you may see that indicates you have a tuning issue. The most common situation, you're heading into your upcoming season, you've been shooting field points all off season, and then you screw in your broadheads and suddenly everything goes to... To oversimplify a complicated situation, if a bow is perfectly tuned and arrows are flying 100% straight out of them, it really shouldn't matter what head is on them. Now, there may be some arrow issues where they aren't totally straight or the insert isn't perfectly square and it's causing some problems, but it's always good to make sure your bow is shooting darts before trying to kill animals with it. And it's easy for an arrow with a field point to correct itself and kind of hide issues, but that fixed blade broadhead is like a sail on the front of your arrow that brings all your little tuning gremlins to light. The other problem you might notice, even with field points, is a tail whip in your arrow as it leaves the bow. If you're watching your shot and you think you're seeing the arrow kind of like fishtail, that's a bad sign. It may be a circular kind of whipping, or it may be doing its own Tokyo drift kind of thing as it sails through the air, before eventually correcting itself downrange. Also, if your arrows seem to be stuck into the block and they aren't pointing directly back at where you shot them from, unless you're shooting in a strong crosswind, you probably have some sort of tuning issue. Okay, that's enough of what the problem is. After all, if you click this video, you're probably already convinced you have some sort of tuning issue. But here's what most of us do when we think there's a problem in our archery setup. We always want to blame the bow, right? But what if, and please don't take this the wrong way, what if it's you?
You son of a...
I know, it's a sucky thought, but I always try to start with me before I start adjusting stuff or buying stuff or just chasing my tail and throwing gear at the situation. The problem is that it's hard to know if you're the problem, right? I mean, you can learn some stuff from breaking out the phone and recording your shot in super slow-mo. You can learn even more by having an experienced archer watch you closely and see if maybe he can figure out your issue. But here's a tip I just learned that has absolutely changed my archery life. And to give credit where credit is due, I learned this from my buddy Josh at Dialed In Hunter. I have a link for his channel down below. You should go and subscribe. Anyway, I was pretty sure I was inconsistently putting some torque on the bow and it was causing problems. Sometimes I'd see the tail whip, sometimes I wouldn't. I changed grips probably half a dozen different times. Broadheads would be hit or miss. I thought I was going crazy. But here's the trick. And after I started checking my grip with this, I was dropping broadheads and field points in a 6-inch box at 70 yards, which I'll take all day. Come to full draw and settle into your anchor point. Get your grip how you typically have it. Basically get to how you would be right before you would line up that sight picture and start floating that pin. Then, look up. Like, don't move your face, but just with your eyes, look right up that string at the top of your cam. Since your eye should be perfectly in line with your bowstring, you should be able to see your string perfectly lined up with your cam. If you see your string off to either side, you're putting torque on the bow. You can even play around with it while you're looking up. You can use your grip hand and push or pull the bow a bit, and you'll see that torque moving the string back and forth. Adjust your grip so that the string is perfectly lined up with the cam, and then hold it just like that. Line up your sight picture and send the arrow. Now, there may be other issues, so you might not see the arrow instantly fly laser straight. You may have even tuned your rest to compensate for the torque you were putting on it, so that might require some further adjustment, but it's possible that this will be the thing that fixes your issue. Since I knew my tuning was just a hair off, I went out to the range, prepared to broadhead tune my bow, and spend a while fine-tuning my rest. But I had just learned this trick, so before I broke out the tools, I looked up the string and saw that I was in fact torquing the bow just a bit. It wasn't crazy, but it was definitely there. I relaxed my grip a bit more, the string fell right in line, I lined up the sight picture, sent the arrow, and that sucker flew just like a dart. I sent a broadhead, same exact thing. I never touched my rest that day. I just kept moving further and further back, dropping my broadheads and field points right in the same spot. It was perfect. Now, I'm not saying this will become part of your shot sequence. That would be weird. You don't want to look up your string every single time, especially not when like a screaming bull is charging in on you. But it's a great double check for you to occasionally look up and keep your grip hand muscle memory honest. And as you keep checking, you'll train your hand to exactly what a torque-free grip feels like, and you'll look up to see a perfectly straight string and cam every time. So, if you're chasing some tuning issues, just head out and give this trick a try. It'll take one shot to see if maybe this is your problem. So really, what do you have to lose? Guys, thanks so much for watching. If you do me a huge favor and subscribe right down here, I'd really appreciate it. And if you want more on the whole process of broadhead tuning, I've got a video about that right over there. And if you're looking for just a fun afternoon project, here's how I built my rolling archery target named Goliath. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you guys next time.